Not sure how many chapters I'm going to read today because they're very, very short. But we're starting at chapter 34. I always make sure I do Joe, then Ravi, and back and forth. Joe, it's my own fault. I should have known better to leave anything out of my desk when there's a known kleptomaniac sitting 2 feet away. Well, so much for impressing Mrs. Beam with my great idea, because now all I have left is an empty dish, which is exactly what I feel like at the moment. Ravi has left his package sitting unopened on his desk while he takes his card up and puts it in the basket. Lucky for him, Dylan is too busy unpacking his own box to notice. Mrs. Beam starts talking to Ravi about the Indian cookies his mom had made for her, but I get distracted when I see what Dylan Samarine has brought. It's a big plastic yellow star with a picture of what else? Dylan's face glued to the center. Perfect. I watch as he rips open a package of AA batteries and loads a bunch of them into the back of the star. When he's finished, he sets it on his desk, pushes the on button, and the whole thing lights up and starts playing Ghetto Superstar. Boy, Lucy Mulligan and her little girlfriends come running over. Pretty soon they're all dancing around Dylan while he sings along to the song. Ghetto superstar, that is what you are, coming from afar, reaching for the stars. Well, his singing's bad, but the girls don't care. I notice his boxers this time are decorated with yellow stars. And the top 3 buttons of his shirt are undone. Gross. Ugh. I'm not sure, but I think he might have glitter on his chest. Take your seats, please, boys and girls, and we'll get started, Mrs. Beam tells us. Well, I'm in big, big trouble. Chapter 35 is Ravi. Ravi, Mrs. Beam says as I drop my card into the basket and my heart's pounding. Have I done something wrong? Alma had offered to write my explanation on the card in her neat handwriting, but I insisted on doing it myself. Can Mrs. Beam not read what I've written? After talking with Paripa last night, I had been so sure that this assignment would be a proud moment, not just for me, but for my whole family. Now all my other failures come flooding back like a giant wave. You know, my accent, my math, my English, my manners. It's nice to see you, says Mrs. Beam. We've missed you yesterday. You did? I asked. Don't sound so surprised, she laughs. I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the cookies your mother made. There's a spice in them I'm not familiar with. Do you know what it is? I'm sorry, I say softly, bending my head down again. It's cumin. Oh, don't apologize, she says. The cookies were delicious. It was all I could do to keep myself from eating the entire box. I was wondering, do you think your mother would be willing to share the recipe for the, what are they called again? Non-cajitas, I say. Non-catis, she says slowly. Well, her pronunciation is perfect. I think about what Miss Frost had told me about stepping on toes and about how assumptions are often wrong. Miss Beam, I say softly, my voice quivering a little, my name is not Ravi. It's pronounced Ravi. She looks at me and smiles. I never noticed before, but her eyes are the color of pistachios. Oh, I'm glad you told me, Ravi. Was that better, she asked. I nod my head and smile back at her. It means the sun, I say. As I walk back to my seat, my heart feels lighter. It seems things are finally starting to look up for me in America. But my gratitude is interrupted when I see Bigfoot sitting at his desk, staring into the empty bowl in front of him. He looks so sad, and I'm not selfish enough that I have forgotten about the insulting cartoon or what I saw Dylan Samarine take from the little glass dish on Bigfoot's desk. You know, this is my chance to redeem myself for the unkind way I had treated Ramaswamy at Vitamin Deer, and for all the toes I've stepped on at Albert Einstein Elementary School as well. My chance to, set things right. I reach into my desk and feel around for my fingers until I find what I'm looking for. Then I put it in my pencil box for safekeeping until the moment is right. Chapter 36 is Joe. We're going to play a little guessing game, Mrs. Beam explains. The goal is to match up the objects sitting on the desk with the sentences in the basket. Great. I've only been at school for 15 minutes and my day is already in the toilet. I look at the empty dish. No one's going to be able to match it with the sentence I wrote, not in a million years. Ravi's busy unwrapping his package. I'm curious to see what's inside, so I lean to my left so I can watch him. The brown paper is held on with about 1 million pieces of Scotch tape. When he finally gets it off, there's another layer of newspaper underneath, and under that a layer of tin foil, and then a lot more Scotch tape. Before we start, Mrs. Beam tells me, I'd like you all to quietly make your way around the room, familiarizing yourself with the objects on each of the desks. I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll begin our game. Mrs. Frost always says that the best place to start is at the beginning. So I go over to the first desk in the first row. Amy Yamaguchi brought a teddy bear, or at least I think that's what it is. It's a little hard to tell because it's gray and it doesn't have any stuffing left in it. Not only that, the face is completely worn off. Whatever it is, it's ancient and probably doesn't smell too good up close. Some of the other girls brought in stuffed animals too, or girly junk like charm bracelets and flavored chapstick. A lot of the boys picked video games or sports stuff, including Tim O'Toole, whose personal reflection object is his own front tooth. Ooh, ouch, that hurts. Everybody knows the story. He knocked out his tooth last winter sliding into a goalpost during a hockey game. Even though there was blood gushing out of his mouth, he still managed to score the winning goal, which is how his picture ended up on the front page of the Hamilton Herald with a caption under that said, "Plucky local kid just won't quit." I'm about to start walking down the next row at my desk when I hear Lucy Mulligan scream. Miss Bean goes running over to see what's wrong, and pretty soon there's a big crowd of kids standing around Ravi's desk. This is one of those times when being taller than everybody else can come in real handy because I can see right over their heads. Ravi has finally finished unwrapping his package, and sitting on the desk is a glass jar filled with cruddy-looking water. And swimming around that cruddy-looking water are 3 long, slimy, black... ... Chapter 37, Ravi. Leeches, I say as everyone leans closer to see what I have in my jar. Yesterday, Paripa and I took a walk together. Where are we going? I asked him. You'll see, he said. Ever since we moved to New Jersey, Paripa has been very quiet. He eats his meals without a word, then goes and sits on the sofa to chew his betel nuts and read his newspapers. But yesterday, as we walked together, he had a lot to say. What's this I hear about you wanting to quit school, he asked. Nobody likes me, I told him. They think I smell bad. You know, it doesn't matter what they think. Quitting's not an option. I know, I said. Appa told me. That's because I told your father that same thing when he was a boy. And someday when you have children of your own, you'll tell them too. Quitting is not an option. You don't understand, I said. Nobody does. So for a while we walked in silence. Did you know that in India tea has to be plucked by hand, Ravi? My grandfather said finally. 3 leaves and a bud, right from the very top of the tea bush. The tea pluckers pick the tender shoots and drop them into baskets that hang from their heads. When I was a young man, my first job was to work at the tea plantation. I had to stand in the rain and guard the workers, protecting them from wild animals that might be lurking nearby. What kind of wild animals? I asked. But my grandfather didn't answer. Instead, he took me by the hand, led me through the tall grass to the edge of the pond. Amma and Prima were always warning me not to go near. What are we doing here? I asked. Again, my grandfather didn't answer. He bent his knees and crouched down, careful not to let his veshti touch the muddy ground. I crouched down beside him and watched as he dipped the tea strainer in the water and began dragging it very slowly through the weeds at the edge of the pond. 2 times he pulled the streamer out, and we peered in only at dirt and dead leaves, but on the 3rd try his efforts were met with success. There were 3 long, black, worm-like creatures wriggled in the stream. We used to call them Draculas in disguise, Paripa told me. The tea plantations were infested with them during the monsoon season. They were much larger than these skinny fellows, but these will have to do. Do for what? I asked. Prima told me about your assignment. The assignment is to find something that represents who I am. I told my grandfather, do you think I'm a leech? Paripa laughed, pulled a small glass jar from his pocket. Fill this to the top with water, he said, handing it to me. Well, when I had finished filling the jar, he dropped the leeches in, closed the cap, and tightened it. These leeches are a reminder of who we are and where we're come from, that Ravi, and of all the hardships we've endured to get here. I thought about our house in Bangalore and my friends back at Vitamandir, especially Pramod. I thought about the way things used to be, the way I used to be. I don't know who I am anymore, Paripa, I told my grandfather. You are Ravi Suryanarayanan, my grandfather said, putting his arm around me and pulling me close. And the Suryanarayans never give up. We work hard against all odds and believe in ourselves. We would have thought that I, just a small tea plantation owner, would be able to send his son to a fine university and to help bring his whole family to live in America. But that's what happened. I miss Bangalore, I said softly. Me too. But you will have many more opportunities here. But it doesn't feel like home, I told him. Give it time, Paripa said, reaching for my hand. Come, Ravi, Amma and Prima are waiting. If we stay out any longer, they'll think we've been carried off by the terrible wind that Prima is always complaining about. While everyone in room 506 is still crowded around my desk, trying to get a look at the leeches, the time is right. So I open my pencil box, take out the blue candy, the one Miss Frost gave me in the resource room 2 days ago. I put it in my desk and forget all about it until had put it in my desk and forgot all about it until this morning. Now this little blue candy is about to play the starring role in my big plan. I look around to make sure no one is watching, then I place the candy in the glass dish on Bigfoot's desk.